All right, for more on this story, I'm joined by a lawyer, which we might need, and a political affairs experts. Andrew Friedman is, well, an expert in politics covering the Washington Update. And let me start with the story of the Fiscal Cliff. Explain to our viewers, because we do talk to a lot of people around the world, and they scratch their heads, and they don't understand why. The problem is very clear. The solutions are there, but we're nowhere near getting a deal done still.
Yeah, you're right, Phil. We are nowhere near, and I think what happened today was really more for the press. It was a chance for everybody to kind of look good and buoy the markets. But the reasons really come down to what the parties, the ideological positions both parties are taking. The Republicans say we won't accept any tax increase. The Democrats say we won't cut retirement benefits, Social Security and Medicare, which is necessary to deal with the deficit. And so you end up with the parties talking past each other. And that is what causes the problem of getting something done.
The truth is probably both are likely on the table. In other words, tax hikes,
yes,
and also spending cuts. The latest is John Boehner, the Speaker of the House, has come a little softer terms, saying that they'd be open to revenues as long as they were matched by spending cuts. I mean, this is the first sign of really a peace offering, if you will, since even prior to the debates of the election. Now that we're at this stage, do you think the president is more willing at this point to make a compromise, or because of the vote prior to the election, does he feel more empowered to stand his ground?
Well, can I go back to Boehner for a second and then answer that question?
Sure.
Boehner gave a very nuanced statement. He said, first of all, we won't accept higher tax rates. What we will accept is more revenue from the efficiency of tax reform. Now, if what he was saying was if we have tax reform, which lowers rates, simplifies the tax code, that will stimulate businesses and that'll bring in more revenue, that's a non-starter with Democrats. Just saying the economy is going to grow won't happen. If he's saying we'll deal with actually taking away deductions to bring in revenue immediately, that is something I think the president would agree with, but he says we can't raise enough revenue that way. So I think Boehner is still kind of out there. He's got to deal with all the so-called Tea Partiers who are really nervous about this. The president, I think, and you pointed it out correctly, I think he's feeling empowered. He says we're going to have to raise a lot of revenue, not just do away with the top tax rates, but do more than that.
I mean, look, I can speak for a lot of people here in this newsroom and probably a lot more people outside of that. I mean, this is a depressing discussion because It sounds like even if there is a deal, it's not a deal that's going to benefit the economy, because your two choices are spending cuts, which are bad, and tax hikes, which are bad.
Yep, right. Once again, you're exactly right. What we get through in the next few weeks is basically dodging a bullet, trying to avoid this horrible cliff where supposedly we're thrown back in recession. Next year is the year maybe we have negotiations. You mentioned Simpson Bowles earlier to me. That's right. That's an example of something that might really fix the economy. Let me add quickly, Simpson Bowles, which was an idea from a nonpartisan panel to fix things, I know was a great plan because it wasn't 10 minutes and everybody in Washington said they hated it. That tells me it's a good plan.
All right. We're going to try to come back to Simpson Bowles, but I want to get back to the topic here in terms of the fiscal cliff. And for investors out there, the deadline is January 1st.
Correct.
That these automatic tax hikes go into play. Even if they avert it, what is the likelihood of pushing sort of the problem to next year? Is that a realistic possibility?
Well, I think, first of all, they're not going to avert it because the president, well, let me rephrase that. The president is insisting on higher taxes, at least on the top 2% of the population. He has said, if Congress doesn't give me a bill, I'll just let everything happen and we'll deal with it next year. So either way, I think we do deal with the fiscal cliff through higher taxes. The question is, do we keep taxes low for the middle class or not? But one way or another, I think we're looking at higher taxes, and then the question is who gets hit by that.
What do you think the average American wants?
I think the average American wants higher taxes on the wealthy. That's an easy thing to
So they want to tax you more, basically.
That's exactly right. It may be you. I don't know what you make. But the fact is, that's what Americans want. They say, don't tax me, tax those people who make more money.
Come January 1st, what are we looking at?
Come January 1st, if we haven't dealt with the fiscal cliff, if taxes have gone up across the board, the Republicans come back to Washington. At this point, with higher taxes, they can vote to lower taxes back to where they were. And that's what I worry might happen, is the Republicans wait till January.
Just so everyone's on the same page, if this fiscal cliff goes into place, everybody, every cameraman in here, every operator in here is going to be paying thousands and thousands of dollars in more taxes in 2013.
That's correct, about $3,000 per family. That's exactly right. Next year, we go to try to deal with the big problem.
Let's hope we're all wrong about this.
I agree with you.
Andy, have a great weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.